Hey guys, so in this video I want to respond to a comment that was recently left on a video I posted years ago um, during the time I was working on the trach unit and doing a lot of CNA related content. So this comment was left on my video titled CNA Vlog, Let's Chart Together. I'm sure I was going over like different things that you have to chart and giving some hopefully helpful information. So this person said, very helpful, God bless you, and then said, hope you can help me because I applied as an agency CNA, no orientation and training, starting next week. What should I do first during my first day? I'm just a first-timer CNA and I'm scared. Okay, so first of all, working as an agency CNA can be an experience, let's just say that. So I think a lot of people are choosing to go agency, at least in the current state of affairs, because agency tends to be much more flexible. Most of the time you can make your own schedule. They tend to pay more, and a lot of people prefer being able to kind of pick and choose which facility they work at, what shift they work on, and what sort of unit, because sometimes you can choose like whether it's a hospital or a nursing home or an assisted living, that sort of thing. So one thing I would say is the very first thing you should do is get kind of an overview from someone that works there or someone that worked the previous shift that is giving you a report. You definitely need to get an overview of the facility if you've never been there before, as far as like door codes and where supply closets are, where clean linens are, all that sort of thing. It's very important that you get door codes. And I will tell you, working as an agency CNA, there was a time where I was in a locked memory care unit and nobody had given me the door code, and I was locked on that unit my entire shift. So thank God nothing happened, because nobody gave me the door code, and I could not find a phone to be able to call the other unit to get help there if something would have happened. So it's definitely a good idea to get a door code. And again, it's important to know, codes, if there's a code for a supply closet or clean linens, soiled linen closet, stuff like that. You need to know how to get access to those areas, because those are used throughout the daily responsibilities of working as a CNA. And another one I would say is make sure that you get a very thorough report. So especially if you have the ability to find out, certain things about people, like, are they incontinent? Do they have the ability to get up by themselves? Is it someone that's a huge fall risk, someone that's confused? Like, you need to know certain aspects about someone to be able to provide them with the best care possible. So like I said, you need to know if somebody's incontinent. You need to know if they are someone that is able to take care of themselves. And don't just take what people say as the truth. So if someone tells you that they changed someone right before you got there, or that they changed someone, a couple hours ago, or, that this person is able to do things for themselves. I have worked behind people who have told me those things. And like, for example, when I worked at the hospital, there was a lady from, I don't know if she got floated from another unit or some like what, but I didn't really see her after this, and I got a report, and the patient was actually a below the knee amputee. And this CNA had told me that the person was able to get up and out of bed and walk around by themselves. They were able to go to the bathroom, all this stuff. The person did not have a prosthesis. They were not able to get out of the bed by themselves. And even if they had, like, this CNA, the person had a wheelchair, okay? And this CNA had left the wheelchair on the opposite side of the room. So even if the person could transfer from the bed to the wheelchair, there was absolutely no way that they were getting in that wheelchair. So just make sure that you go in and check on people. I've also walked into nursing homes, not as an agency CNA, but just as a CNA in general. I've walked into nursing homes um, where uh, the person says that, oh, she's fine, she's in the bed, she's asleep. And you go in there, and the person is someone who's alert and somewhat oriented. Um, and they're on the floor in the bathroom. And when you ask them, how long have you been sitting here? They tell you hours, and they've been banging on the door hoping that someone would hear them so that they could help them get off the floor. So it's just things like that that you need to do. Make sure, I mean, you should be doing this anyway as a CNA, going through and checking on people when you first get there just to make sure everything's okay. I hate that you're not able to trust people, but for the sake of yourself and your job, um, and the safety of your residents and patients, you need to make sure that everybody's okay. I would say, if you're going in on your first day, definitely make sure that you bring a little notebook or something to write notes on, so then you can write down, like what I used to do when I was working agency. I would write down the room numbers that I was responsible for. I would write down if they were incontinent, if they were somebody that you needed to check and change, if they were somebody who was confused, if they were somebody that had a Foley, if they had an ostomy, if they were supposed to be on oxygen. Basically everything that I was able to find out about this resident that would help me provide them with better care, I would write down on the little note. If they were someone who needed to be, like, a lot of times I worked night shift, if they were somebody that was a get up in the morning before day shift arrived, then I wrote that down on my little slip of paper too, just so that I knew what I needed to be doing, and I knew, the information that was pertinent for me to do a good job. So I think it's important to also know that as a first-time CNA, it's going to be a learning curve. It may take you a little bit to get into a routine. It may take you a little bit to work at a pace that is equal to your coworkers. And I have always been of the thought process that doing things as quickly as possible is not the correct way to do it. It comes to a certain point where you have to take that person's personal care needs into consideration. And sometimes just rushing somebody through the motions, like, there have been so many times where I have seen coworkers, especially working in memory care units, where they're rushing people through, like, getting dressed or trying to get them to the shower or trying to get them to eat. And that turns a resident who was previously calm into someone who is combative quicker than you might imagine. People do not like being rushed. And just think about it, if you were in that situation, you wouldn't want to be rushed either. So that was kind of me going off on my own little tangent. But just know that it will take some time to get used to it, especially if your agency, sometimes you don't really have the ability to get used to a facility unless you go there on a consistent basis. And yeah, just be patient. Make sure that you're doing what it is that you need to do. Try not to be nervous. I know that I'm always nervous, so I don't know why I said that. Like, I'm always nervous, even working as a CNA for years. Like, I was always nervous starting at a new facility or going to a brand new facility. Sometimes I was even nervous, like, as an agency CNA going to the same facility, just because, like, a lot of times I would work with the harder assignments, because that's something that you should also be aware of. Like, agency CNAs tend to get some of the most difficult patients or residents. They tend to get the heavier assignments because a lot of times, like, the facility staff does not want to work with those residents or patients. And so a lot of times they will assign that to an agency CNA just because they can. So please keep that in mind as well. Hopefully these tips were helpful. If you guys have any other questions or would like me to expand on what I was talking about, or if you have any topics you'd like me to discuss in a future video, please be sure to let me know, and I'd be glad to get something filmed for you. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys next time.